have got, I think, everybody here. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I don't know, Ian, if you want to kind of kick it off, or you want me to just go ahead and get started, kind of going into some of the training points and things that I've put together.
No, I'll kind of preface it. I know Nate, myself and Keenan, we've rolled out the Aeroseal product, a couple months ago. We've got some pretty good adoption with it. And, one thing we're noticing is the product does work, right? It does help the customer. It's not something, guys, where we're making extra money selling Aeroseal or anything like that. Like, we're going with the approach of improving the customer experience, right? And I know Nate, is a big advocate of wrapping in Aeroseal, and so we just wanted to talk to the experts. Hear from you guys, Trevor, your team, as the installer. Additional benefits, case studies, stuff like that. So,
Very
that's pretty
cool.
much, yeah, we do have quite a few new people, on this call as well that have kind of recently joined us. And maybe not everybody knows, all about Aeroseal yet and what it can do. So
Okay.
just kind of opening the floor for you, bro. Do your thing.
Sounds good. And I'm one who likes to kind of get questions as they come up. So if you guys want to, I'm able to see all of the little windows. If you want to use the little raise hand button whenever you have a question, I'd rather kind of hit those as they pop up. So yeah, I'll just kind of give a quick overview for anybody new and even those who may not know a ton about Aeroseal. Basically what it is it is an aerosolized glue that we blow through the inside of the ductwork, and it seals up all the holes and leaks in a duct system from the inside. And I'm actually I wanted to show just, it's honestly easier to like look at it sometimes than it is to try to like visualize it. So I'm going to share my screen, and you guys can just see exactly what it does. So there's no audio, so I'm just going to kind of talk over it. But basically this machine here is, we call it the fan box. We use this to pressurize the duct system. Now, normally this is all encased like in the attic or in the walls, right? It depends on the home. But we can access it at the furnace, and we block off all the air vents with foam plugs to make it so none of this glue comes out into the home, of course, and it allows us to pressurize the system. So we hook everything up. This machine then puts through those aerosolized particles of glue on the inside of the duct. And anytime you've got corners and leaks and seams, those particles are going to be forcing their way out at such a quick rate that they bond on each other and create a patch on the inside of the ductwork, and it plugs up any holes or leaks in the system. So it's kind of the same, I guess, concept as Fix-A-Flat for a bike tire, if you guys have ever used that before. It's just not liquid. It's an aerosol. It's a spray. So that's basically what the Aeroseal product is. That's how it works. And the reason it's beneficial to a solar project is that with solar, right, you're eliminating power bills. You're replacing electric consumption from the power company with their own production from their solar system. When you use Aeroseal on a home, it's going to reduce their electric consumption by an average of 15%. There's studies to show that it's higher than that, but 15% is kind of the safe number. That's a really good average that you're not going to run into any problems with. So with it being a 15%, if they're going to have 15% less consumption going forward, you can do a couple things. Number one, you can size the solar system appropriately, right? Instead of doing a 10 kilowatt system, now you can do 8.5 kilowatts, and they're going to get the exact same outcome when it comes to their power bill and their utility consumption. But now the solar system was a little cheaper because the Aeroseal adder is a lot less than 15% solar offset costs. So they're saving money there. And then what I wanted to focus a little bit more on maybe on this call was some of the additional benefits that the homeowner sees that are like kind of extra selling points or things that will differentiate you from the competition. So before I move on to some more of kind of the technical stuff and more of the benefits, does anybody have any questions up to this point?
Trevor, I got a question. This is Keenan.
Okay,
when
yeah.
you say that we can include Aeroseal into their solar estimate, how can us as solar reps make more money off of the solar system by raising our red line. Can you go over how we can potentially make more money by saving the money?
Yes. Yeah, I can do that. So the idea is that I'm going to use 10 kilowatts as an example. And I don't know, Ian, what would you guys say your average system size is? It somewhere around 10?
Yeah, in Texas it's around 10.
Okay, we'll just use 10 because it's easy to do the math, and I hate math. So let me just pull up this over here really quick so I can get this shared. But basically the idea is, and I don't know exactly what you guys use as your red line. Again, I'm going to use an easy number. I'm just going to say, for example,
we use 3,500.
3,500.
Well, that's
Okay.
the adder cost that we build into the proposal.
Yeah. I just meant like your solar price per watt. So I'm just going to use an example of like a 5.0 ppw. And let's just say that, so basically at a 10 kilowatt system at 5 price per watt, that's a $50,000 project. Okay. So I'm just going to put that over here, $50,000 project. And that's if it's just solar. If we use the same price per watt on an 8.5 kilowatt system, that's $42,500. So you've got a deficit of, what is that, $7,500?
Are
you
sharing your screen in any way?
No, sorry. I'm just making sure that my math is right.
Okay.
I can share.
I bet half the group's lost then.
Okay. Well, then let me do this.
Yeah.
Give me a second here.
But I mean, the numbers make sense without, going like 15% reduction. So you use 15% less panels and then you increase your PPW. The answer to the question is yes.
Correct. Yeah. So you've got, if you don't account for the price of Aeroseal, you got a difference of $7,500, and then you subtract the adder cost of that. That's a $4,000 difference from what they would have been paying for the same outcome. And so what Keenan is referring to is that you have the option to either leave it at this and just sell more deals, close more of those opportunities, and convert more of those. Or you can kind of bump this a little bit and say, okay, well, I'm a good salesman. I don't need there to be a $4,000 deficit. I could push a $2,000 deficit. Now you're going to raise the PPW a little bit. So now that they're basically at whatever it came out to, 48 grand, 2,000 less than what they would have been paying. You're making a bigger price per watt, and the customer is seeing those additional benefits, which is something that I'll get into in just a sec. Keenan, does that answer your question?
I just wanted to know.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Smell on the product or any after that, or do they have to be out of the house for like 24 hours, or they can immediately go back into the house after you apply the product?
Yeah, good question. So here's a quick overview of the process. And yes, they can be home while the process is happening. In fact, we suggest that they be home while we're doing it, because it's pretty cool for them to see. They'll get to actually watch our screen like tick down and show that it's working while they're there. And customers are always stoked about that. So they can definitely be home. They don't have to leave. It's pretty non-invasive. What we do is we put foam plugs in all the vents in the house to make them airtight. We hook up our machine to the ductwork near the furnace, and we pressurize it from there. And that's where we do the initial test to see how much they're losing. We blow the sealant through, plug it up, test it again at the end, and then we take it all back down, and they're good to go. On average, it takes about 5 hours to complete, 4 to 5 hours. So that's kind of the general process there. Now, the other benefits that homeowners are going to see from this service, a lot of our other markets, not so much in like Texas or Oklahoma, but in like other states, we do a lot of direct to consumer marketing where all they're purchasing is Aeroseal. They spend the $3,500 or even $4 grand sometimes for a ceiling. And the reason they do it is for the comfort in the home. They're going to see, it's going to level out any differences in temperature in the home up to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So if they've got certain rooms that are really hot in the summer and other rooms that feel good, when we do the Aeroseal service, it's going to balance that out so that it's the same everywhere. Even if there's like areas where they've got basements that tend to be really cold, there's things we can do when we do the sealing that will help it so that they're going to be about the same temperature on all of the floors in the home. So that's a huge benefit. People are willing to spend money on comfort. And if they have a bedroom that's too hot and they don't sleep good when it's hot, they don't care what the price is. They're going to spend $5,000 on an Aeroseal because it's going to fix that problem for them that affects their daily life. And so I suggest, in my opinion, when you're including Aeroseal in your solar sale, I don't like to add any extra variables for them to think about.
I'd like to shoot.
What was that, Jim?
I'm sorry, I thought I was off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I don't like to add any other variables that could confuse them or muck up the solar sale. And a lot of times when we were including this in our solar projects, we don't talk about it very much, right? We let them know, hey, other companies are going to try to sell you as big a solar system as possible. We're not going to do that. We're going to fix the problem first and reduce your electric consumption, and we're going to provide solar for the rest. We do that by sealing up your ductwork, and that's already included in the project. Very, very rarely will you have to say more than that. So this is just more background information for you guys to know in case they're asking like, oh, well, if you're sealing the ductwork, is that going to do anything else? Is that going to fix other problems? You can tell them, yeah, it's going to level out the temperature in the home. It's going to cause your air conditioner to run less often to keep the home at the right temperature. And overall, it's just going to be working how it's supposed to. So any questions on that so far?
No.
Nope. Cool. Have these guys all seen like a seal report example? I'm going to share my screen and show a couple of them just for anybody who's new. So this is an example of the report that we give the homeowner after we've completed the work. So it's going to show them how much they were losing before and how much they're losing after. This customer is losing almost 70% of the air that their system produced. They were only getting a small fraction of what they could have, and we sealed them down to only losing 8%. That's a drastic difference, right? This customer, 47% down to 1.9, 55% down to 4, 46% down to 0.5. I mean, we have thousands of these seal reports that are showing leakage percentages and how effective it is. And when the homeowner has a copy of this for their system, they're stoked about it. They tell their neighbors. You end up getting more referrals because they can post a picture of this on Facebook. And a lot of times they'll do that before the solar even, if you did the Aeroseal first, they'll be sending you referrals before the solar's even installed. Their project isn't even complete yet, and they're already stoked about it. And so that's one of the big benefits of having this in your back pocket. I was going to show a couple other ones. This is like some of the older format for it, but they basically will watch this happen in real time if they're there at the house. Our screen has this little chart that shows them that it's like going through and sealing. This one was in, I don't remember where in Texas. It's probably somewhere in northern Texas, but 24% down to 1.7. I mean, it's pretty straightforward how that all works. So, any questions there?
No, sir.
Nope. Cool. And then for anybody who was curious, I did want to go over the proofs as to like how it reduces the electric and gas consumption in a home. So are you guys familiar with Energy Star? You all know what that is? Energy Star is essentially a rating system for builders and for like state departments and things like that they have certain qualifications. So if a home is Energy Star qualified, then they get tax breaks, they get rebates, they get additional funding. There's a lot of things that they get that is a big benefit to them. But Energy Star ratings are very stringent on energy efficiency. You have to have the really good windows. You have to have high efficiency HVAC units. You have to have your ductwork sealed. A lot of the new construction stuff we do, the reason they implement us is because they're wanting to get Energy Star tax credits. So Energy Star is a huge, huge entity, and they prove right here. I'm going to find exactly where it says it. So it says right here, leaky ducts reduce heating and cooling system efficiency by as much as 20%. Sealing and insulating ducts increases efficiency, lowers energy bills, and pays for itself in energy savings. Improves the air quality and just overall improved comfort. So this is directly from Energy Star in the document that talks about what it is to qualify for the tax credit. Nate, I've got a hand.
I'm on the team building out our website collateral. Can
Okay.
I use the Energy Star
Yeah,
logo or
definitely.
comments? Can you send me whatever I need for that? I'll put it in the media kit for
Yeah,
Aeroseal.
definitely.
Thank you. Keenan will give you my info.
Yep. And Keenan has access to all this stuff.
I
I'm
think he
gonna
probably
pull.
sent it. I just wanted to make sure that that was okay to put it on the website.
Okay, sounds good. This is a case study that was done by the U.S. Department of Energy. This is actually energy.gov website. And I'm not going to like scroll through this whole thing, but you guys have access to this if you want to read it. They're calling it, let me see here. Aeroseal treatment saves residents of Northgate approximately $34,000 annually. This is where they did it in an entire HOA. They did this and they came in and wanted to case study it. And they proved there's all sorts of stuff about energy consumption and all sorts of different things. So if you guys want to check this out, Keenan will make sure that you have these files and you can go through and kind of study them. And then this right here is a 789-page document that was put together by Texas TRM, Public Utility Commission of Texas. And they basically studied a ton of different HVAC and home efficiency upgrades. We've got a bunch of stuff from Energy Star in here. They have a whole section on duct sealing, and they basically proved that across the entire state of Texas that you'd see a minimum 15% average reduction in electric consumption. So it doesn't really get much more accurate than like literally the utility commissions in Texas having proved this. And that's why a lot of local utilities have their own incentives for this kind of stuff, because they prove that it works so well. So you don't have to worry about like it not doing what it's supposed to with a homeowner. It works. It really works. It's tried and true, and customers are stoked about it. So I don't have too much more prepared. I can go into depth for hours and hours about how it works and why it works, Ian, but I think that's pretty much a good kind of overview and gives the information relevant to including it in the solar sale. Did you guys want to take a minute to talk a little bit about like on your end, on the back end, how that's getting included with Solo and built in the proposals, or do you guys want to do that like at a different time?
No, I mean, we do have it at a 10% buffer right now. Kind of, I didn't want to overshoot it.
Yeah.
But you're saying 15 is more than comfortable.
Definitely.
Like that's safe. Okay. Yeah. You hear horror stories about reps saying Aeroseal will do 50% offset and stuff like that. So I wanted to be reasonable.
That's not right.
Yeah. Okay. And then just another question. I think you touched on it, but kind of one thing our mission and like kind of our slogan that we've been running with is protect what matters most. Protecting the home, right? And
yeah,
we know the energy efficiency and consumption, how Aeroseal helps out. But does it also, you said it does improve the air quality as well. So like the air that a homeowner is breathing is going to be cleaner air and healthier for them by having this service done?
Yeah, good question. So the air quality side of things, that has to do with, if you think about your duct system, right? In most cases in Texas and even in Oklahoma, that ductwork is running through the attic. It's sitting in insulation. It's up really outside of anywhere you want to be in the home. And the air quality up there is not great. You shouldn't be breathing in fiberglass. A lot of people, whether they want to admit it or not, have like rodent or bug issues in the attic, right? There's things that you don't want to be up in there. That's why when you go in an attic, you usually want to wear a mask. And if your duct system is running through that space,
that's
and
good.
if it's got gaps and holes and leaks in it, like that is compromising your air quality. I'm actually going to show you guys, because it's hard to picture sometimes how big these gaps are. I want to show you what some of these openings look like. It's pretty unbelievable.
I'm gonna there's some questions, guys. Keep those hands up because I'm gonna have Trevor answer all those. But one thing that he said that just stood out to me, Trevor, in sales, it's about the story, and that protect the air you breathe is a big part of our story. Especially on our pay-per-click ads that are going to start rolling out. Now, one thing he said was which would just hammer home the value is you know, Mr. Customer, if you hired someone to go do work in your attic, the first thing they're going to do is have to put on a mask. That's
Yeah.
the air that is getting right into your ventilation, right into your ductwork. Like that's so good. You would put a mask on to breathe that air if you went in there. And that's what's pumping through your house if you don't seal your ducts. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for calling back to that. Okay. So you guys can all see my screen, I think. This right here is a connection point. So what you're looking at right here on the left side is a primary trunk line or a plenum that that hooks up to like that all of your vents hook to. This right here is the connection point for a supply vent that goes out and runs to supply air to a room. This is what every single one of those connections look like. They're basically wide open all the way around. Now, this is a rigid duct, but a lot of stuff in Texas is flexible duct, and the connections on flex duct are even worse than this. You've got open corners in ducts like this that air can just flow in and out of as it wants to. You've got, I think this is actually a picture after. This is that same exact vent I just showed you after the Aeroseal was applied. You see how it covers up all those holes and seals that in? So that's this same exact picture here. So yeah, you've got, I mean, there's I think this is a before picture. Oh no, that's after still. Let's see here. But I think you get the idea. It's basically just the fact that you've got openings up in that airspace that you do not want to be breathing in. This is a picture we took inside of a duct we cut into and shined a flashlight on the outside of. Look at these openings here. I mean, that's enough for like animals to crawl into the ductwork if they were right near there. And they're just breathing that in. And the crazy thing is that when your supply vents, like you're thinking, okay, well, how would air quality be compromised if air is blowing through this? It would be blowing out of those holes, right? Well, what happens when your air shuts off is that it finishes pushing the air out and it creates almost like a small amount of negative pressure in the vent. And so all of a sudden, air's been blowing out of these holes, but once it stops, it's going to suck air in a little bit. It's going to pull that in and it's going to settle in here. And then as soon as it kicks on again, that's the first layer of stuff that blows out into the house, is whatever nasty crap was sitting right near that got sucked into it. And so that is kind of answering the air quality problem. It is one of the most effective indoor air quality remedies that's on the market. And that's one of the main things that Aeroseal advertises. That's what gets them into a lot of places, is that it's going to fix that air quality. And I'm going to answer those hands that are raised, but I want to hit one more thing. Is anybody in here familiar with the disease? It's called CIRS, SIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome is what it stands for. It's when somebody has been exposed to mold spores and it settles in their lungs and starts creating mold patches on the inside of their lungs. Right now, we're actually doing work. We've done a couple jobs in California for recovering SIRS patients that have worked with Dr. Jordan Peterson. He did a podcast about it and different things like that, where the only way to 100% guarantee that these people were going to be safe to being exposed from mold spores was to aeroseal their ductwork. They did everything else. They had home purifiers, they had filter systems, all sorts of stuff. The only way they could see remission start to happen was when they aerosealed the ductwork to keep that air clean and keep it isolated from the attic and from the crawl space. So pretty cool how that stuff all works. Okay, I think Donovan's hand was first. Let's go with you, Donovan. What question do you have?
Yes, two questions. So the first one's more for Ian. Are we going to change the solo percentage for Aeroseal to 15% since that one's safe?
Yeah, we could do that.
Cool.
All right.
And then I like that. And then the second one, could you share that podcast on the SIRS? Because I feel like that's a good selling point for homeowners in the home as well.
The Jordan Peterson one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll make sure that Keenan, there's 2 YouTube videos that were done. So Dr. Shoemaker is the lead researcher on the CIRS recovery. And then there's one of Dr. Peterson interviewing him. So I'll send both of those YouTube videos to Keenan and he can get that dispersed to you guys.
Appreciate it.
Marcus, I think you're next.
Yeah, I heard somebody earlier ask if the homeowner is allowed to be there during the process. You said we encourage them to be, and there's a little screen that they're able to see it as it's taking effect. But
Yep.
if there was a follow-up question of something like, so before the sealant has bonded with itself and as it's entering my system and some of it comes through, am I in danger of breathing it in? Are they physically able to be in the house as the process is happening, and is it safe? And just what
Good
would the
question.
response to that question be?
Yeah, and people do ask that. So the response to that is that the solution we use is completely non-toxic. And something that you can tell people that puts them at ease is that chemically it is literally a mix of Elmer's glue and chewing gum. It is both things that you could technically eat if you wanted to, right? You can eat Elmer's glue all day, it's not going to poison you, it's just going to make your stomach hurt. So our technicians aren't required by any type of OSHA rules to have respirators or ventilators on when they're working around this, and they do it every day long, like all day long. It's completely safe. If it like, so let's just use this as an example, right? Sometimes people have an unfinished part of their house where the ductwork is exposed. When we do the sealant is going to come out of there. It kind of looks like a light fog, like a light mist. If they go in that room and they just start breathing it in, they're going to be totally fine, but it's going to start to feel sticky around the edges of their nose, because at the end of the day, like, it's going to start trying to stick and kind of plug over like that hole. But it doesn't work because it's water soluble when it's an aerosol, when it's an aerosol form. So it's when it's inside the duct, it does that initial kind of tackiness phase and then it hardens. It doesn't do that on your body because we have a lot of water and a lot of like liquid basically on any of our like nose or mouth openings. So it's not dangerous to be around. The worst that can happen is it's a little bit sticky on the edge of your nose and you just wipe it off with water. But that's very rare to have that, because they're not typically in those areas. And we do put like air scrubbers. It's just a big vacuum that sucks in air from the room into these big filters so that it goes away from anything else. But yeah, there's really not a case where being exposed to it is a problem. And there's no off gassing or smell after the fact. Like if you get your carpet cleaned and they use chemicals, it smells for a couple days, or you get the home fumigated for bugs, it smells. There's no smell associated with it afterwards. Okay, Kelly, I see your hand up. I think you're next.
Hi, Trevor. Thanks for doing what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
I have had a question about whether or not this is as effective if the ductwork goes through the concrete underneath of a home. I mean, it's obviously not going to be as beneficial because there's not as many gaps there, but how does that work?
Yeah, so the problem with slab, so they call that an in-slab system where the vent goes through the slab. Those actually tend to be pretty bad. Concrete settles a little bit over time, and they thought for whatever reason when they used to put those in and when they still put them in that they could just not worry about taping or sealing it because it's in a concrete channel. Problem is that they seal the vent to the floor, and so any air that escapes in that concrete channel is just as lost in there as it is in an attic. You're losing air pressure, and that's really the main cause, is that if you don't have the proper pressure to cool the room fast enough, the system has to run longer. So whether it's in the slab or in the attic or in the walls or a crawl space, all of it is affected basically the same when it comes to energy efficiency.
That makes perfect sense. That's cool.
And a lot of times,
oh
yeah, sorry, no, keep going.
No, keep your train of thought.
I was gonna say that a lot of times when they have slab systems, what they do is they put like a bed of sand underneath the duct for it to rest on, and as over time that sand starts to get sucked into the duct and then blown up into the house. And so they'll have issues with they'll be like, man, I'm dusting all the time, and this does help with that significantly. It doesn't eliminate it completely, just because Texas can be pretty dusty and Oklahoma can be pretty dusty in some parts, so it's not going to take dust out of the house, but it is going to stop it from getting into the rooms a good chunk of the time.
That's awesome. Yeah. My next question was just, can you share all those before and after pictures that you were just
yeah, I can. I don't think, I'll get those put into the folder that Keenan has access to, and I will get those shared over so you guys can see. They're kind of like jumbled in there, but you can see which ones have been applied and which ones haven't. So yeah, I can put those in there.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Jim McCaffrey, I think you're next. if you still had a question or if we answered it already. No? I don't know if he can hear us or something. I'll just move on. We can come back to him. Ernest, I think you're next. Did you still have a question, Ernest?
Yeah, sorry, I said to turn off my mute. So do you recommend that they change their HVAC filter right after?
No, so we put in a plug before and after the filter so that none of our sealant gets anywhere in the machinery or on the filter. But our technicians do look at the filter with the customer and just notify them if it's dirty and needs to be replaced. That way they at least know that they need to do that. But that's part of our post-job checklist, is to look at that with them and see if it needs to be replaced. If that answers the question. Lonzo, what's up? What question you got?
Oh yeah, I had a question. I guess this is more pertaining to the leaders, and you, I guess. But can we install them before we do the solar?
Yeah, I'm going to refer to Ian and Keenan on this one. Are you guys planning on doing that pre-solar install, or is it happening right around the same time?
The ones we've had so far have been post-solar install. We typically go pretty quick on our solar turnaround times to get glass on the roof. So I mean, as long as we have NTP, I'm good with it. It's just a matter of coordinating with you guys, Trevor, and having crews ready to go in that area. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think to answer his question, yes, it can be done before, but I think for the most part, it'll be happening right around the same time as the solar, if not just after. But yeah, it's in cases where they're wanting it done sooner, or that was like a selling point for them to get that done sooner, we can accommodate for that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Keenan?
Yes, can you go over the study by the U.S. Department of Energy? And that would be for us to catch their attention, knowing that we're not stating anything from us. We're actually referencing facts and studies that the U.S. Department of Energy has done.
Yeah. Let me find that page.
And then my second part of this, Trevor, can you go over how penetrated the market is, knowing how big of a problem it is, and how, I guess, no one knows about it. So our job is to get this exposed by just telling people. For
sure. So this is the study this is actually the same study that I kind of shared the link to earlier. Once you get into there and read it, they did a comprehensive study after that one with the HOA across the US, where they did Aeroseal on a ton of homes, and they had like control groups and all sorts of good stuff. They proved that 95% of homes in the US have leaky ductwork, and that out of those homes that have leakage, the average was between 25 to 40% air loss. And that was that was literally in every state. They had subjects from every state. And so when you look at that number of like, okay, pretty much every single home has these problems, and when they do have them, they're losing they're losing a third of their air. It's a very widespread problem, and really the only homes that are not in this 95% are the homes in the last like 7 to 10 years who have been doing Energy Star certifications and been doing Aeroseal duct sealing. And so it's a very, very small number of homes that have already had this. And so to refer to your other question, Keenan, there's not a lot of people who've had this done. This is a relatively like new thing to retrofit homeowners. Builders know about it, right? They know what Energy Star is, they know what duct sealing is, and they're starting to kind of do that. Many homes that were built before are not going to have had this done. And so you don't have to worry about running into a case where like they already had it, or it's something that they like looked into before and decided not to do. Anybody who looks into it and like knows what it does typically ends up getting it done. So as far as like in the Oklahoma area and even in the northern Texas area, to my knowledge, there's like maybe one other group who's even offering Aeroseal in Oklahoma, and they're nothing special, nothing to mention when it comes to volume. And then same for the Texas area, there are some people who are doing it down in Houston, and maybe even in Austin and a little bit in Dallas, but not to the scale of volume that you guys have as a company. And so it's very rare compared to the solar market penetration out there. I would say it's probably like around 1 or 2% of solar deals that have Aeroseal on them. And you guys can definitely make a dent in that.
I do market studies on how many that there were, and there's 220,000 Aeroseals across the country. That's it. So it's wide open for us to take this because no one has it. Everyone needs it.
I mean, you guys have how many in like the Dallas metro area, like 8 million or something like that?
And counting.
And counting.
Right.
Thanks, Keenan. Yeah, that's good questions. Travis, did your question get answered already?
Say what now? Oh, you picked call on Travis?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What I wanted to ask first and foremost was if you had to kind of like pitch it in a summary way, what would be the way that you might would grab somebody's homeowner's attention? I mean, because I'm thinking you probably know better than anybody because you know this is your product. You know what I mean? So like if I'm pitching it, so to speak, how would I weave it in real quickly to kind of grab somebody's attention? And I'm just asking because I see how it could be a major game changer in our industry.
Yeah, good question. So I touched on it a little bit earlier, but I'm glad you called back to that because then I can kind of say it again and you guys can watch for that. When we were doing this with solar years ago, what we found to be the easiest way to include this in your solar pitch is just to tell people, look, it's an energy efficiency metric that's backed by the U.S. Department of Energy, and we don't like trying to fix a problem or trying to put a Band-Aid on a problem that needs to actually be fixed. So what I would say is this. This 10 kilowatt system is more than enough to provide the energy you need for your home. Now, in other cases, another company might have to pitch you 13 kilowatts. The reason ours is more efficient is because we seal the ductwork in your home that's been proven to lose 15 or 20% of your electricity. So we're going to fix that issue first and sell you a smaller solar system because it's more cost effective. And at the end of the day, it just makes much more sense for you. That's how we did it. Some variation of that. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Solve the problem, but do it cost efficiently. That's the kind of language that most consumers like to hear. No doubt. I appreciate that, bro.
Definitely.
Appreciate that.
And if they ask
Travis,
any more,
Travis, you can reference the study as well, so you can just tell the homeowner that I'm going to share the study that's already proven, so they don't have to listen to you. They're just looking at the study.
Right, and I'm a firm believer that documentation beat conversation any day. I love to let them documents talk. Yeah, for sure. Appreciate that, Trevor.
Perfect. Man. Yeah, of course. Jim McCaffrey. He's got his hand up again. Jim, can you hear me?
Jim, you're on mute. Muted. Take yourself off mute.
It looks like you're still muted.
Still on mute. Your camera's on, but now you're still muted. Hit the little microphone button.
Hey, there we go. Still can't hear him. Jim, there's a chat feature on here where you can actually text in something. If you have a question, you should be able to message it in and I can answer it. So I'll move on to somebody else while you type that up. Kelly, another question.
So maybe you said this already and I missed it, but how long does it last?
Oh yeah, good question. I actually didn't say, I didn't go over that. So it is a one-time thing. It's a permanent solution. They don't ever have to come back and revisit it. It's one and done. Duct leakage doesn't really occur over time. It happens when they install the systems because of how they install it and because they don't put any effort into taping and sealing. And so we're basically going back in time, fixing the problem, and then it stays that way. So yeah, awesome. They don't ever have to revisit it.
Great, thanks.
Cody Britton.
Yeah, I was just wondering, so is there like a time that you shouldn't use it, like maybe on newer builds or like brand new HVAC units where they just had everything replaced in there? Or like, is that a question that we should bring up in the home? Like, hey, how old is your HVAC unit? When's the last time, everything was checked out?
Yeah, good question. So a new HVAC system doesn't have anything to do with the ductwork. When they replace a furnace or replace an AC unit, they don't touch the original ductwork. So they could have a brand new system. It's still using the OG ductwork that was in the home. So that doesn't really matter. And then occasionally in Texas, like I said, there are builders who do the Energy Star certification. If it's a new area, brand new home, and it looks like everything's pretty nice, you might just want to ask them, hey, when you bought the home, did it say anything about Energy Star? Or did it say, like, did you upgrade for the efficient windows? Did you upgrade the duct system? If they have done any of that, you might in that case want to just not necessarily account for 15% just to be safe, because if they had already done that stuff in the past, then we're not going to want to account for that. So I would just ask the homeowner if when they bought the home, if they have any documents showing that it was Energy Star. But usually there's going to be a sticker on the HVAC system or in the mechanical room that says Energy Star certified. So if you have any question, you can usually go in there and check.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's very rare, very rare. And my partner Ryan, a minute ago, I saw his message pop up. For some reason, I thought that there was also somebody else in Oklahoma, but we're actually the only ones. So you guys are the only solar company in Oklahoma who's offering the Aeroseal services with your stuff up there. So I misspoke a little bit. He corrected that for me.
A little off topic, Trevor, but do you guys also install HVAC? Or no, just Aeroseal?
We don't. Yep, we just do the Aeroseal. We have good subs that we like, and we can kind of vet for you if people are wanting that. We can look into that, but that's not something that we do.
Okay.
All right, and then I don't think I've seen a message pop up from. Oh no, he did. Wrapping solar and duct system in one contract, and you already answered that. Okay, cool. All righty. Well,
Trevor, I got one last thing real quick. Is can you go over the 30% federal tax credit incentive as well with Aeroseal?
Okay, so Aeroseal is one of the very few products that qualifies for the 30% tax credit, just like solar does, but it doesn't have to be in a solar project. So even when we're selling this direct to consumer, they're not buying solar, the government will send them a rebate for 30%. So it's pretty cool. Like that alone will usually tell people like, oh, okay, then obviously there have been studies done that the government has validated to say that this qualifies for the credit. And so if you have customers like in an example where they didn't qualify for solar, a lot of times they can still qualify for the Aeroseal service. And if you upsell a little bit, you can still make something on it, or you can get them the Aeroseal now and they're happy with it and they're happy with you as a company and as a rep, so that when their credit's getting better in a year or 2 years, you can still come in and get them qualified for a solar project. And it's like you were able to help them originally. They got the tax credit for it, and then once their credit's good enough to do the solar, they can kind of do that. So you can almost use it as a way to save some of those deals that otherwise you just kind of sit around and wait to see if they'll qualify in the future. You can still get them something now, and that significantly increases the chances of them coming back to you when they're ready to do solar in the future. But yeah, so it does qualify for the tax credit on its own. Very cool. Well, I appreciate your time, everybody. Thanks for being on here. And those are all really good questions. Hopefully I was able to kind of portray that all in a way that makes sense so that you guys can now take that and give it to your customers. And honestly, we're really excited to see you guys implement this and watch what it can do. The thing that Ryan and I always joke about is that it takes a minute sometimes to get people to like start using it and change. I mean, we're all habitual people. Humans are habitual creatures. Putting in something new to what you've already been doing, what you're already good at, can be difficult. But man, once you start selling deals with Aeroseal in it, if they ever run into a case where you can't, you're like, man, does this even make sense anymore? Like it makes such a big difference to the numbers and for the customer that you really won't want to go back to doing it without it. So we're excited to see that. We're here to support that. And then my partner, Ryan, he's been on the call. He handles and oversees our operations and logistics side of things. And so he's the one making sure that these are getting done smoothly for your customers. We're communicating with them properly, that they're getting their seal reports, and that at the end of the day, it's just a good experience. So Keenan's awesome. He's probably going to work with you guys more directly on questions and things like that. But we're here on the back end making sure that it all happens. So I appreciate the chance to meet you guys.
I will clarify this, guys. So we have one of the best assets that we could possibly have in Keenan. Keenan is very detail oriented. He knows this product like the back of his hand. I know that a lot of you have, you and I have worked together to, kind of get this launched. But guys, I want to let you know, Keenan is here for us to get anything we need. He is a definite expert at the customer journey. It's why those of you who have watched and heard and seen what I've been saying about Keenan, you might be wondering why, and it's because he is the master of what we're trying to do, creating the best customer experience and getting referrals and multiplying business off of one. So guys, utilize Keenan. He's in the chats. He's a member of this team. He is one of us. But I just wanted to say that those of you who were at the launch, you heard him speak. This is a very big deal, guys. I want to reiterate something. The value of what we're doing is designed about protection and bettering the experience, the customer journey. But this is a way to make more money. This is a way to eliminate 15% of the cost in their system, because they don't have to produce as much energy for about 7% of the price, right? So if ever I can trade my money and leverage my money, right? So if someone said, hey, give me $1 and I'll give you back $3, you would do it, right? So mix that and combine that with, hey, give me $1 and I'll give you back $3. And by you giving me that $1, I'll also tell all my friends to give you $3. That's what Aeroseal is, you guys. The topic to bring up at the doors is the proof of model with the U.S. Department of Energy, with the Clean Energy Act, or what is that called? What is the seal, Trevor? What is that thing? The Energy Star.
Energy Star.
Energy Star. Those are called social proof. Social proof is that thing that Travis just said. Documentation beats conversation. Social proof is saying, hey, you can trust us. And you know how you can trust us? Look, they trust us. The person you trusts us. That's what this is about. Next layer of that conversation is about protecting those that they love in the inside of their home from the nastiness that is in their attic, the nastiness that is in our air, the nastiness that is outside. It is solving problems. The third one that I wasn't even really hitting on that this meeting gave me was the quote I posted in the chat while Trevor was talking. And it said, when a homeowner has a room in their house, especially the one they sleep in, that is too hot or too cold, they will pay almost any amount of money to fix that problem and sleep better. Okay, so again, three-pronged approach. It's cheaper than just selling solar. It makes you more money than just selling solar. It saves the homeowner. They can trust us. It's proven. It's a proven actual energy efficiency product, not a Band-Aid. It protects the air they breathe. All of those things add up to a no-brainer. Now you know why. Those of you who have heard me say this, I have said that Aeroseal, as part of GridGuard, will be on every single deal that we do as soon as you see what I saw. When you see what I saw, you will put it on every deal you do. You'll make more money and you will have happier customers and get referrals. That's all I got.
That's awesome, Nate. I appreciate all that. Very well said.
Hey, Trevor and Nate, just something that I was, myself and Jalen were talking about that I think could be a good selling point, or should I say packaging, or bundling technique, would be to kind of like name what you're selling with the solar included and all that.
It's called GridGuard. We already did it.
There you go, Nate. You took it out my mouth. Get out,
bro.
My
listen. It's our look. Go to our website, guys. Like all this is. This is the purpose of HomePal. Protect what matters most. It comes with EMP, EMF shield. It comes with Aeroseal. It protects your family. It protects the air you breathe. It protects your family against the ever-rising threat to the failure of our grid. It protects you and your family's long-term food supply, right? By making sure your freezer stays on. This is what GridGuard is, guys. This is the selling point. Thank you, Travis.
Let's go.
Very cool. Well, thanks, guys. We'll probably finish this up here. Ian and Keenan, I'll make sure that the recording from this is available to you if you guys want to clip certain things out of it or use that in future trainings, that's totally cool. We'll get that sent over, and we're excited to see the growth, guys. This is awesome. Good luck.
Appreciate it, Trevor. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Real quick, just for clarity's sake, Keenan is gonna have the recording because I got some people that didn't get to make the call that we definitely want to get this information over to.
Yep. It'll take a minute for it to render, but I'll get it to him today.
For sure. Appreciate that, guys.
Yep. Take care, guys. Good luck out there.